in the process of filming a certain ranking video, I just had a idea, you know, an idea. What if my whole collection vanished, everything poof, gone, and I can only get one palette from each brand back? Which one would that be? That honestly must not be the favorite palette, because sometimes the favorite palette is just not very versatile. It's just very favorite because it's my favorite. But I just started to think about this and then I wrote it down, and here we are. I will talk to you now about the palettes that I would actually bring back. And maybe there are brands also where if this palette would vanish, I would not bring the brand back. But before we start into the video, the lip of today is MAC Half Red Lip Liner. I applied it on the outsides, blended it inwards. On the inside, I applied the Made by Mitchell Mattitude in Nude Rinse. And then I topped it off with the LH Cosmetics Glaze Lip Gloss in the shade Drip. I will go through this list in alphabetical order, and I just had to open the window because it's fucking warm inside here, and outside it's a tad bit raining. So sorry if you hear the rain and birds and shit, but I know that you love these nature sounds that I provide you basically for free on this channel. Starting with Adept Cosmetics. I do have a couple Adept Cosmetics palettes, but the one palette that I would actually get immediately back if my whole collection vanished is the Seahorse palette, because this just has such a special place in my heart, and I don't even know why. This is definitely not a palette I can use alone, but you know, just think further. This is a palette to have fun with. This is a palette to create endless beautiful looks with and add some of the other mattes from the palettes that we're going to talk about too. And Seahorse is also my favorite Adept Cosmetics palette, but in general it's a palette that I just do not appreciate enough in my collection, and I should use it more. It is so insanely pretty. The different shifts, the different colors is just so stunning that I would immediately get it back. With ABH, I thought, well, would or would I not get any of the palettes, but eventually I then decided that honestly, the Cosmos palette is the one that I would get back, and I think I'm quite alone with this. A lot of people did not like the Cosmos palette. I think this is the best that ABH brought out with their new palettes. I love Nouveau. I love the Rose Metal one, especially Rose Metal, so grungy and pretty. But Cosmos with these beautiful shimmers inside here, this just has a very special place in my heart. And as you can tell, I used it and bent it so much that the packaging even broke. For Beauty Bay, I do have to cheat because if we're not talking about palettes that are not available anymore, it would definitely be the Metamorphic palette. This was a super duper limited edition palette that came out for fall last year. Such a beautiful, cool toned Ice Queen palette. Oh, I can't stop. But if I can only get palettes that are currently available, it would actually be the 30 Pan Smoky palette, because in my opinion, this is the better Natasha Denona Xenon palette. This is so insanely stunning. The different tones of gray might look very similar in the pan here, but they are fairly different when it comes to looks on the eye. The undertones are perfectly done in this palette, and the shimmers are delicious like ice cream. Next up we have Blend Bunny Cosmetics, and if you now guess that I will get the Longing palette, I'm sorry, you're wrong. I would totally get the Trove Quad again, because I raved about the Trove Quad already in my Blend Bunny ranking. This is the perfect multi-chrome quad on this planet. Nothing is ever probably so pretty as the Trove Quad. And if Blend Bunny ever decides to do this formulation again in a quad or even in a 6-pan, I will 100% get that too. I do have only two palettes from Be Perfect, the Carnival 4 and the Carnival 5. And honestly, I think I cannot live without Carnival 5. This is just so stunning in the choice of color in the rainbow theme, but it's more like space themed. This part of grace is beautiful. These glitters, honestly, I know a lot of people hate pressed glitters. I don't have a problem with them. And especially Milky Way and Moonwalk over here. They are so reflective and pretty that I would love to apply them all over my body. From Byredo, I only have the Mineral Escapes palette, and honestly, I would bring it back because Mineral Escape, I think, is the palette that surprised not only me, but a lot of other people out of the blue. Nobody expected this to be such a hit, and this is constantly sold out everywhere. I do have a 3-look video with this. I think I also do have a short or reel, whatever, with this. It is so beautiful, and I didn't expect this, and that's why probably this wowed me even more. What I don't like about this palette is the cheap packaging. I accidentally skipped the brand in A, and that is Anthemy. It is a Asian beauty brand, and I think they do have only one palette, the Butterfly Backlight palette, and I would not bring this back to my collection, mainly for the reason because I haven't tried it yet, so I can't tell anything about this. Let's move on to C, and the next one with C on my list is Charlotte Tilbury. And although I have the Beautyverse, by the time you see the video, I definitely have the Fire Rose Quad already, but I would not bring it back to my collection. It's just not special enough. Choice Beauty, I have 2 6-pan palettes, and I would definitely bring back Moth. And I think the color story speaks for itself why this would be an instant repurchase. From Nomad Cosmetics, this does not count because by the time I'm filming this video, I only have single palettes or like single pans from them that I put in a big palette. So this does not count in this video. But if you ask me, I would bring back all of them. With Colourpop, I again have to cheat a bit because if I could get back every single palette, even those that are limited, it definitely would be the Twilight palette. I don't know if you already saw my Colourpop ranking. I hope so because I'm planning to upload it after that. Okay, doesn't make sense here. Let me ramble, but I broke down with this palette because I love this so much. Yeah, but if I can only get palettes that are non-limited, and I don't even know if this is still available, doesn't matter, it definitely would be Aurora Struck because this is from the permanent collection. I think it's permanent. Is it? Please tell me because I'm too lazy now to look it up. This is definitely my favorite Colourpop big palette of all time. It's so fucking pretty. Next up we have Cosmic Brushes, and that can only be one, and honestly there is no question at this point. Maybe in the winter time my opinion changes, but right now it's the Cool Trills always. This is a masterpiece of cool toned eyeshadows that I would absolutely miss if this would disappear in my collection. With the Nessa Myrix, I do have 3 palettes in my collection. 2 of her Groundworks, or like the 2 that exist in the Groundwork line. And I also have 1 Lightwork palette, and the Lightworks 5. That is the palette that I would bring back to my collection. I've used it a couple times. I love the different textures, the finishes. It just is such fun to use, and I should appreciate it much more before it maybe even really vanishes. For Dior, Exile Joy, and Florasis, I would not bring any of the palettes back in my collection because they do not bring anything special to my collection. While I love the ones that I have from the brands, they're nothing to immediately bring back. While from Flower Nose, I have a couple of them, and the one that I would absolutely bring back, this one. This is the Black Swan palette from the Swan Ballet collection, and it actually was a tough decision between this or Eden Angel? No, Eden Angel is the neutral one. With the Little Angel collection, there are 2 9-pan palettes. One is very cool tone neutral, and the other has blues and golds, and the blues and gold one. That one was next to it, but I eventually decided to go with Black Swan because it's just pure perfection. While I honestly enjoy the palettes that I have from Game Beauty, none of them would be immediately back in my collection if they vanished. But from Girl Called, I have a lot of palettes, and the one that I would bring back is definitely the number 52 Like Fire Quad. I think I'm not as mysterious as I try to be, because red and black color stories with a bit of sparkle, with a bit of an intensity, with a bit of an unexpected hue and shift going on, that is tickling my pickles. So definitely this one. With Glaminatrix, it is quite easy because I do have a lot of Glaminatrix singles, 30. Then I do have one or two other palettes, and then the one that I would bring back to my collection, and that would be Fairy Lights. I think this is not available anymore, so if this was not possible, then it would be no Glaminatrix palette. But Fairy Lights was their limited like Christmas, New Year's palette. This is so fucking pretty. I needed to have this. So from Glamlight, that was easy. Honestly, when I think a bit longer about this, I probably would not bring back any Glamlight palette because of the story with Glamlight. But if I'm just judging by color story and by excitement, it would be the Chucky palette actually. This red and black color story here is just so stunning. I love this, and I now see so many similarities in the shit that I truly love. So yeah, it is what it is. My Glam Shop PL shades do not count because they're singles, so I don't add them here. But next up we have Gloss Gods, and the palette that I would immediately bring back is the Color of the Rain. Oh, I just from looking at it, I get as wet as rain. Look at how fucking pretty these blue shifts are. I want to dig my finger into drizzling and dewy and light break and water prism and raindrop and soaked and rainfall. I think you get it. I would not bring back my Gourmand Girl palettes. I only have one, and that is the Silent Hill palette. It's really, really pretty, but I would not bring it back. Next up we have Haggard, and the one Haggard palette, it's also an Asian brand, is 100% Captive of the Night. This color story is so beautiful, and this shade here, this is Labyrinth. This was so unexpected for me. This is a gold with a black base. Oh my god. Paint me in this color, please. From Huda Beauty, you might expect me to bring back Rose Quartz, maybe even the Pretty Grunge, because I really like that one, but no. It is a Obsessions palette. It would be the Matte Obsessions, not the Matte Obsessions Creamy, the OG Matte Obsessions in Cool. This palette looks straight up boring, but it is so much more. Every look that I created with this was utterly beautiful. It just pairs with so many shimmer colors, or you can wear this on its own as a beautiful all matte eye look. Next up is Amaya Beauty, and here I think I have to cheat a bit because the one palette that I would 100% bring back if available is Industrial 2. Should I rave about this palette, or should we close this chapter quite fast, because this is definitely not available anymore. This is so limited, or this was so limited edition, that I was offered over 500 euro from strangers on the internet to get this in their hands. But sorry, I would sell this for 10k, but that's it. But if it's not available, I actually would not get the Industrial 1. That is way too weak. What I would get though is the Wild Horse palette. I initially skipped that, but when I got both Industrials, I thought, okay, I want to have all the Amaya palettes. And Wild Horse is so not what I thought it would be. First of all, the matte eyeshadows in here are insanely good. They are really, really good. It's only 4, but you do not need more in this palette. But the shimmers, oh, these beautiful molten metal-like metallics that she has in here, paired with softer shimmers like this brown or this purple up here, or even this turquoisey tealy blue, is insane. Really love this. Next up we have Lemonad LA, and I do have only 2 palettes from them. The Space Case Pro, the big one with 24 glitters, and the Space Case Mini with 16. And honestly, it would be the Space Case Mini. I got so much use out of these glitters. You have to imagine that all of them here are initially nearly full. There is a bit left, like they're not filled up to the top, otherwise they would all gunk up here. But they are very, very full, but I have used so much of these glitters. It is insane. Even the neons, they just are so beautiful. And the one that's nearly empty is, of course, my favorite Houdini. I really need to rewatch Euphoria. I would not bring back anything from Letha Cosmetics or LH Cosmetics. LH Cosmetics mainly for the fact that I like the quads, but they're not so special that they could be any better than the palettes I already brought back. And Letha Cosmetics, the same reason why Lemonad is not part of this list, because it's all singles that I curated in custom palettes. Next up we have Lisa Aldridge, and what else would I bring back if not the Vega palette? So versatile, so abused by me, and this is this even true? But I have such a big dip in the black shade. This is Lamp Black, one of the best blacks I own, and now I want to do looks with Vega. Oh, this is so destroyed. I really need a replacement for French Grey. I really need that. I would not bring back anything from MAC, although I love my 40 Shades of Pride palette. It is definitely not a palette that I don't want to sound mean, but it's not a palette where I'm like, oh my god, if this is not in the collection, I faint. Not like that. And also, no makeup by Mario. Next up we have Narimi, another Asian brand, and the one, I think you already know that, the one that I would bring back is Fireflies in the Dark. Has red, has black, but it also has a purple color story right up my alley. From Natasha Denona, you might expected me to bring back the Xenon palette, but since I have Smoky from Beauty Bay, and I think that's the better Xenon, I would bring back the I Need a Nude. Everybody needs a perfect neutral nude palette, and honestly, the I Need a Nude from Natasha Denona nailed it. I don't know why this is so high up in my liking, but I love it. I Need a Nude is such a stunning color story. I am not tired of recommending this enough. From Nomad Cosmetics, I will totally bring back the Ghost Town of USA. This is such a well-balanced palette for neutral and for color lovers. I can't get enough of this. It's warm, it's cool, it's in the middle, it's swampy, it's denim. It's everything I dream of, and I have a hair on my nose. Next up is Odins Eye, and I thought about this a while. And I would not bring back anything from Odins Eye. Yes, I know. It's so crazy. You know I'm a sucker for their Christmas palette, the Christmas Eve, but no, I wouldn't. Odins Eye lost the spark for me. Next up we have Pat McGrath, and I was surprised how easy this was. Honestly, if I had to get rid of my complete Pat McGrath collection, and I was pressured, I was blackmailed to keep one palette only. I know, how cruel, because they all look the same on the outside, but it is Mothership 6. Mothership 6 is something that I never thought I like, but I do. And the reason for that is not the mattes, it's not the swamp green, it is a bit the blue. It's these two shades here. This is Astral Solstice. This is the shade that you have in Mothership 6 and in Mothership 7. This shade let alone, I want to have a single shade from Pat McGrath, and then I would be able to get rid of everything I own from Pat McGrath. I could live happily ever after with only this shade from Pat McGrath in my collection. Oh, I love this so much. Should I swatch it for you? Do you want to see this? Just touching it makes me happy. Look at how pretty this is. The definition of a wet look. Can we? Let's play a bit. Oh, look at this. And look at me. I am applying makeup with my finger. I know. Who am I? I was probably abducted by aliens. This shade is just so much that I never knew I need in my life. But it has a ton of fallout. It doesn't matter. This look just got even better now. Next would be Prada on the line. I do have one Prada quad that I really enjoy, but it is nothing I would bring back. So let's head over to Cheer Up. And yes, this comes with Q because in my list I have it under their old name, which is Xian Yen, I think. But they now are called Cheer Up. And the palette that I will definitely try to get back is the Floating Life palette. This is the collaboration palette with Freya 86. Another black or red eyeshadow. I don't know how many can you have in your collection. Never enough. Next up we have Rabon makeup, and I have a lot of the duos. I have one of the quads, but that one duo that I would actually bring back because it is so good is the Back to Black. What in the crack is in this duo? I have no clue. This black looks like Venta black. It looks so surreal on the eyes. This is the most intense black eyeshadow that I own. Use it with caution because this will be there forever. Next is Rowan Beauty. I would not bring back any of my Rowan quads. While I do like the ones, I have the very warm one. I forgot the name. And then the 52 degree, that's the cool one. They are very pretty. I like to wear them once in a while, but nothing where I would say, okay, if they're gone, I would miss them. Same actually goes with Roman D. I have two 10-pan palettes of Roman D, one all glitter and one of the, I don't know, what was it called? Whatever Girls, I think. It is a black and lilac color story. Very beautiful, fantastic quality, but nothing special. While from Shall We Makeup, I will try to get my little nibby fingers on the mini palettes in Circus. And if they don't have the mini palettes, I would get the big one of this too, because Circus is so freaking pretty. I mean, this is the definition of a Christmas color story to me. Neutral gold and red. I love it. Such a pretty palette, and I can't wait for the new Freya collab palette that's coming with Shall We. I will definitely get that. Then we have Shi Zhuang. I only have one palette. It's the Polar Day one. It's a 10-pan with shifty translucent shades that are more like glitchy. Beautiful, but since I would bring back my glitter palettes from both brands, I would not be able but I don't feel the need to have this, since from Slayfire Cosmetics, I would bring back the To Die For palette. This was their limited edition Halloween palette last year, but I'm pretty sure it's still available on the website. And not only do they have one of the most beautiful red and black glitters, they have this one. This is Ghosted. This is such a surreal glitter. It looks like fucking nothing here, but this looks wet. If you want to create a tiered up inner corner wet effect or a tiered up under eye wet effect, the Ghosted is it. Whatever is in their Slayfire, you did a great job with this. Now we have a couple of brands that I would not bring back to my collection. That being Tarte. I have one palette from them, and that one palette is actually on my chopping block. So I don't feel a need to bring back any of them. Then we have Titanium Fox's Cosmetics. There is a bit of a story. First of all, I have the Poppy Quiet and Poppy Storm. I have not tried them by the time that I filmed this. And I still have to keep a bit of a distance to them because there were just things happening with the brand while I ordered these palettes that I'm still not over it, honestly. Then we have Tom Ford. While I do love the 3 quads that I have, they're nothing that I would bring back since everything's getting reformulated under the Estee Lauder grudge and now they're just shit. Unearthly Cosmetics, I would not bring back. I think this is such an overpriced brand that does not hold up with the quality. So price quality doesn't match up. Urban Decay, they just lost it. I do have their Moon Dust Quad, one of the two. There were two versions. And sadly, only one version made it to the EU. That one I like, but again, not special enough. Same with Victoria Beckham Beauty. I have one of her smoke bricks, I think they're called. Stunning formulation, but a bit too normal. And also V Cosmetics, I have tried only the Blood Moon palette so far. I like it, but I think I now have a lot of colorful mattes. And I also have the Blood Moon Rituals. It's the 5-pan palette matching to Blood Moon that has only shimmers and multi-chromes. But that one I haven't tried yet. And last but not least, we have Vizard and What's Up Beauty. From Vizard, I would immediately bring back the Petite Mattes Cool. This is one of my most used palettes this year because I take this in whenever I need a cool toned blending shade. So beautiful. And from What's Up Beauty, I have their 3 palettes, the Geodes, the Desert Monsoon, and the Dragon palette. And of course it has to be Dragon because the Dragon palette is an absolute masterpiece from the brand, and I can't wait to see what outstandingly beautiful eyeshadow palettes they will bring us in the future. And that's it. These are the palettes that I would bring back. I love to play with scenarios like this. Are there any more scenarios that you would love to see? Maybe the same topic, you know, everything is vanished in the category and you can bring back only one per brand. Which one would you see me do in the next? Or is there anything else that you would like to see? Let me please know in the comments down below. And of course, I want to know what are the 3 palettes, if your whole palette collection vanished, that you would immediately bring back? Very hard question, I know. And if you don't have an opinion on that, if you don't want to share that with us, no problem. But if you want to push the algorithm now, comment eyeshadow palette. So, thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.